Hello everyone. In our last lesson, we looked at the installation and configuration of Visual Studio Code along with the required service setup for development. Now let's launch Visual Studio Code and start with the creation of a new AL project. First and foremost, open the command palette. You can do this by pressing View Command Palette. From the command palette, select ALGO. Alternatively, you can use the keyboard shortcut Alt plus A followed by Alt plus L. Once selected, Visual Studio Code will prompt you to provide the project path and the project name. In my case, I will create a new project named Demo Project and press Enter. Next, Visual Studio Code will ask you to select the target platform. You can choose the latest platform version or any specific platform required for your development. So let me select the appropriate platform here. Once the platform is selected, Visual Studio Code will request you to choose the server. This can either be an on-premise server or a cloud server, such as a sandbox or production server. In our case, we'll be using an on-premise server, so let me select that. Now the AL language extension has created the default project structure. This includes a sample hello file along with the app.json and launch.json files. First, let's look at the app.json file. The file is used to define the metadata and dependencies of your Business Central application. As you can see, it contains a unique application ID, project name, publisher and version, dependency information, platform and object ID ranges, runtime version that app supports. All of this information defines how your extension behaves and integrates with Business Central. On the other hand, we have the launch.json file. This file contains the connection details required for debugging and publishing the app. Here you can see details such as server address, for example, localhost, service instance name, authentication type such as Windows authentication, development port number, which is 9 in my case. So basically, the launch.json file is used to define how Visual Studio Code connects to a Business Central environment for debugging and publishing. To summarize, app.json file defines application metadata and dependencies. Launch.json file defines environment and connection settings. Once everything is set up, let me delete the default Hello World file and download the symbols. For downloading the symbols, you can either click the prompt shown by Visual Studio Code or manually trigger it from the command palette by selecting AL download symbols. Once the symbols are downloaded successfully, it confirms that your connection is established. At this point, we are ready to start development. By default, the Visual Studio Code downloads only the base Microsoft application symbols. If you want to extend additional applications such as LS Central in this case, you'll need to add those applications as dependencies in the app.json file. Now let's discuss some of the important properties in the app.json file. These include application ID, name, publisher and version, dependencies such as LS Central app, object ID ranges used in the project, resource exposure policy which defines accessibility for other extensions, runtime version which defines the target platform. Next, let's move on to the launch.json file. Here you can see configuration name, environment type such as on-premises, server and service instance, authentication method, port number, schema update mode including synchronize, force sync and recreate. We can also define multiple configurations within the same launch.json file. To add a new configuration, simply click Add Configuration and select one of the predefined options provided by the AL language extension. For now, we'll keep the default configuration. With this setup complete, we are ready to begin developing AL extensions for Business Central and LS Central. Thank you.